After losing against Atletico Madrid 4-0 in the first leg, Barcelona fans are confused whether the team would be able to come back in the second leg or not. So I decided to make this video and illustrate the strength and the weakness how Barcelona can come back in this game. Therefore, let's dive in. To fix any problem, you have to go back to the roots and discover the original of the problem. Therefore, when we go back to the Atletico Madrid's game and dive in and think about it, what are the reasons behind this loss? We'll discover many reasons. One of those reasons is the injuries. We know at that game, Pedri wasn't available, and Pedri is the heart of Hansi Flick's system. Beside Pedri, Rafinha just returned from an injury at that point, and he played part of the game, and we all know that Rafinha is the engine, the high press engine for Hansi Flick. When you have injuries like this, of course you're gonna have a problem with your system. And the second reason, in my opinion, I'm not trying to put an excuse, the team was exhausted at that moment because they just returned from the Super Cup from Saudi Arabia. Beside that, they had 3 or 4 games away, especially with the Champions League and in Spain. So at that moment, the team was traveling a lot. That's one of the reasons. I don't want to say it's all the reason, but the team at that time was very exhausted. The main reason, it was the midfield vacancy. Let me explain what I mean by this. A critical failure point in the first leg was the delay in the defensive support. At minute 13:50 in Atletico Madrid's game, Frenkie de Jong was caught in no man's land, failing to cover the central Atletico runner. This triggered a chain reaction. Balde was pulled out of position, forcing Eric Garcia to vacate the left central back slot to cover the wing, leaving a massive central gap that Atleti exploited for the opening phase of their onslaught. We need to understand this chaos in the midfield. It wasn't just this time. It was during that time. Happened so many times, and it resulted with the second goal. And this second goal, we've seen it so many times. Every team tries to score goals against Barcelona in this way. If we take a look at the second goal sequence against Atletico Madrid, we could see the panic pivot effect with both Balde and Eric Garcia caught ahead of the ball. Koparsi was forced to step out to the ball carrier. This left Conde isolated, forcing him to push high to close Griezmann. The result was a massive vacated space behind the backline for Lookman to attack, a direct consequence of failing to secure the center before building through it. And this, we've seen it against Girona the next game when Barcelona lost as well 2-1. So this problem, it was alarming. Therefore, Hansi Flick has to fix it before the second leg. Otherwise, the remontada is impossible. With being said that, Hansi Flick has to be very careful with the attacking transition from Simeone's team. Especially, he has flying wingers such as his son Simeone Jr. and Lookman. In my opinion, if Hansi Flick wanna stop Lookman, he should play with Araujo as a right back. He's aggressive with the duels and he's fast as well. So therefore, He's gonna give you safety while you're attacking. And with playing Araujo alongside with Kopasi and Gerard Martin, and in the left back playing with the Cancelo, and I'll tell you why. You could switch this formation from 4-2-3-1 to 3-4-3. The reason I want to see Cancelo on the left back instead of Balde is the creativity that Cancelo gives to the team and his ability with the final touch that Balde struggles with. No offense, Balde has the speed and he's better in the defensive side. But in this game, you need to be aggression in the final third. And Cancelo gives you more solutions than Conde. As we could see here at Levante's game, his cross to Conde, it was perfect. But Conde wasn't able to utilize it. His assist to De Jong via a precise curved cross demonstrated a playmaking from deep capabilities that Balde lacks. Cancelo turns low blocks into sponge mode defense where the opponent eventually snaps under constant delivery. That's why I think Cancelo is a better solution than Balde in this game. When you need to make the comeback, you need to be aggressive in the final third and utilize every strength and every chance you have in the final third. Beside Cancelo, the other player that I think that might make a big difference, not a big difference, but let me say a little change, is Rashford. Everybody thinks that Rashford, he's bad with the tight spaces, especially that Simeone, of course, he would park the bus. But Rashford has some qualities. One of those qualities is shooting from outside the box, and he's wonderful with that. We've seen his goal against Newcastle and other goals. We know Rashford. So in this game, you might need Rashford. He gives you the interior threat. We could see here Rashford pivoting from the wide axis model. Rashford has become the primary weapon for vertical stretching attacks. He loves to attack from the flank and play wide, and this what exactly needs Barcelona this time. Why they need to stretch the defensive line of Atlético Madrid so the players in the midfield such as Pedri or Bernal can come and join and score. We've seen this happening in the prior game when De Jong and Bernal was able to score, or sometimes Fermin Lopez. I want to take a moment and thank you for being here. I have a favor to ask you. If you enjoy this content and you'd love to support us, make sure you subscribe. This would help us a lot and would allow us to bring more value to you and bring more content. Thank you so much for your time. Now you could enjoy the rest of the video. Now I want to move to Yamal and Pedri with the support of Conde from the back. But what Yamal did in the last game, scoring a hat-trick, that's actually a big boost, especially to a player who scored the first hat-trick in his career. He's gonna come to the game with motivation and the spirit is up. That's actually, it's a perfect thing. And that's what Barcelona needs at the moment, is Lamine Yamal and Pedri to be in the best shape. Pedri came back in the last game and Barcelona needed him the most. Why? Because he controls the tempo and he's a breaker. He's a line breaker, especially with his vertical passes that destroys the opponent with one pass. In Villarreal's game, Pedri delivered a sublime release pass that broke two defensive lines. Yamal's movement, benefiting from being unmarked as the defense shifted to cover the central threat, allowed him to secure his hat-trick. Let's keep in mind that Simeone is gonna play in a low block. Therefore, you need Pedri to open that space and create spaces and find the tiniest spaces. And Pedri is amazing with this. Let's take a look at another example that demonstrates his ability. At minute 91 in Villarreal's game, we saw the ultimate evolution of the high occupancy box when Conde used a wider lane to pass to Pedri, who found space between the defenders, and Conde at that moment continued his run with Ronnie pushing central to pin the central backs, receiving the return and assisting Lewandowski the tap-in goal. Here we saw a great ability and quality from Conde in the attacking phase, but let's not forget he is very exposed defensively, especially with the attacking transitions, and Simeone is gonna try to target this point. Therefore, Hansi Flick has to be careful with this point and try to balance this point if he's gonna play with Conde in this game. Now I wanna take a moment and talk actually about De Jong's absence. De Jong's absence is very unfortunate for Hansi Flick because he's been a pillar in Hansi Flick's system since De Jong returned from injury last year. And honestly, in the last games, he's been performing very well. But in this game, uh, Bernal could replace him. But in my opinion, it's better to play with Eric Garcia as a double pivot alongside with Pedri and play Gerard Martin as a central back alongside with Kobarsi. Araujo should play alongside with Kobarsi. But I don't think this is gonna happen. But this is the best way uh, to uh, to have the stability in the back line. I know lots of people will say Araujo has been making so many mistakes, and recently or before even his trips, I don't know, all those stuff. But Araujo, at the end of the day, you don't have any defender better than Araujo. Honestly speaking, no, neither Garcia, neither Gerard Martin, nor Koparsi even this season is better than Araujo. So I think he's gonna be, he should be part of Hansi Flick's plan. But I don't think that's gonna happen. But if it happens, I think Hansi Flick is gonna benefit from him. For this remontada to happen, Barcelona has to score 2 goals in the first half. Like they have to be leading by 2-0. It doesn't matter, 3-1, 2-0. It doesn't really matter. But in order to make this remontada true, Barcelona has to be winning in the first half at least 2-0. And in order to do this, you have to be aggressive in the final third and stop missing chances like what happened in Elche's game and other games. Barcelona has to utilize the chances and score goals, period. And the other thing that should happen is the players like Pedri and Fermin Lopez should enter the box more often. And we've seen this happening actually in the last few games when Bernal and De Jong, they were entering the boxes and utilizing the crosses that were played from either Cancelo or Lamine Yamal. And we should see more of this. If this happens, I can tell you the remontada is happening. Especially if Barcelona utilizes all the chances and not miss easy chances. Therefore, it's a huge responsibility on Lewandowski's shoulder, Rafinha, and all the players at the front to be clinical and score goals. Now, if you ask me about my opinion, is the remontada happening? I can tell you, the remontada is not that important. The important, Barcelona doesn't lose any player for injury. Barcelona's fans would be upset and sad if they lose the La Liga and lose the Champions League. Especially the road to the Champions League this season is easier, because the only big team in the Europe that you're gonna face beside Atletico Madrid, Arsenal, and that could happen in the semi-final. My final word is the remontada is possible, but Barcelona fans doesn't want it to happen at the expense of injuries. With this, if you like this content, please support us with giving us that like button and subscribe, and peace.